dir geht's ja nicht so gut mit den Klamotten, meinst du? Wieso das? Guck dich mal an. Sieht gar nicht so schlimm aus, oder?
Nö.
What do you think about my outfit, guys? It's sweetest track pants you can find on earth. So, this is part of morning routine. First I get up, brush my teeth, then I comb my new hair, then I get what? Morning what? And what would you do without me, huh? The things I would do.
Woody Woodpecker. Nice.
Sweet. Got me up there. Boom. Okay. Natürlich doof, wenn das kalt ist. Ich glaube, das ist ganz cool so, oder?
Ja, das reicht erstmal.
Nice. I call this guy Woody Harrelson.
Nein, ich hab schon meine.
Down south.
Cheers, bro.
Be grateful, bro.
Oh, nice, dude. You're fucking full of it these days.
I've said this like 15 times already on this.
Dude, how did you get that good?
Would I be able to come back? Because I think that's like, wait, we have to talk about some rules here. So I would love to go back really far, actually. Like super far. But I don't know if I would want to get stuck there necessarily. I just have questions that I want answered and then I want to come back.
Yeah. Hieroglyphics.
Yeah, like I would absolutely be interested to go back like 11,600 years, for example. Or maybe a little bit earlier, just to see what the world was like before like the last massive cataclysm, like when that ended, like that melted all the ice caps and like the flood that like all those biblical stories and everybody had. That was possibly like 12,000 years ago. I'd love to know if there was like intelligent civilization at that time, because like it's a fascinating moment in history that nobody knows anything about, and I would really like to know if like someone like Graham Hancock is correct. But then I don't know if I would want to live in that time period, especially knowing all of what I know technologically is possible now. I think that would be pretty brutal. I think the Roaring '20s would be interesting.
Like now.
Yeah.
No bars.
Yeah, the 20s, like especially like Berlin, for example, in the 20s was like a super interesting place. There's been tons of books written about that. Like Isherwood wrote a book called The Berlin Diaries, and like what life was like in Berlin, and like how open-minded and liberal and crazy it was, you know, before things kind of turned the other way. But yeah, like I think that would be a crazy experience. Like New York as well in the 60s would be amazing for me. Like just because there were so many brilliant artists that were all creating, and I think to grab inspiration from them and see what that was all about would be super interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the time I'm living in right now, but if I could choose, probably a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. In general, it's kind of cool, But if I could choose and go to different times, 60s, 70s in the States probably, just for the music scene. I mean, I wasn't alive back then, so I wouldn't know if it's any good, but from what I've seen, Woodstock, I probably would enjoy that. And what I think a lot about though is how the future will be. I'm interested in a time where, I mean, if we look back at the Dark Ages, we consider them almost barbaric, but I want to know, like in a couple of thousand years, like from now, people consider us probably barbaric. So I kind of want to know what this society is going to be like in the 5,000 years, 2,000 years, 4,000 years. That would be really interesting for me, just to see how we developed and what's different, because a lot of things that are normal these days weren't normal at all, like 100 years ago. So I want to see how the standard shifts and what happens.
So, musically speaking, I'll definitely go back to the 60s and 70s. Everyone was taking LSD, everyone was getting high, and it's... I mean, dude, they were getting high, and some of the best music of ever written came out of that period, like Led Zeppelin, Joe Cocker, the Beatles, to just name a few. So, man, that would have been amazing to be in that time. And also to not have technology accessible, because back then it was like, you know, you buy one record, you listen to it, you really study it, you use your ear to get into it and to learn all these songs. I feel like that would have been it was a really amazing time, I think, to connect with music. But then on the other hand, I just want to know how aliens look like and if they exist, and I'm sure they're out there somewhere. So to be like, to travel to the future.
Oh! Spoke one earlier. Do you think I was all day?
Maybe it's all the drugs, but that's pretty creepy.
Dude, the LSD's kicking in.
Oh, it's drugs, man.
LSD, not good.
So yeah, a few hundred or 1,000 years into the future, it would be really amazing to see how civilizations developed, if we like made the jump to other planets. And I don't know, maybe we won't even be here because some aliens like approached Earth in like all these Hollywood movies and just
make boom.
You know what like annoys me in some of these Hollywood movies, when the aliens come and they just start to destroy the planet and like fuck with the people. I always want to know why. Why are they like attacking us? Why are they want to destroy us?
I don't think so.
Except for E.T.
Exactly, man.
Yeah.
My homie.
And Paul.
Fucking E.T.
E.T.'s my homie.
Or and Paul,
E.T. from home, man, with the long ass fingers, dude.
I'd love to go back to the 60s. In London, like in Soho, back in the day. All the rock stars there, all the beginning of like the swinging 60s, the Beatles were smashing the place. All the Jimi Hendrix, like that's music wise. Also football was amazing in the 60s. It just looked like an amazing time, like the beginning of experimenting as like humans and stuff. Well, not experimenting, but experimenting with party life and psychedelics and all sorts of stuff. That looked pretty amazing. Also like to go back to like 1940s and find myself like a really vintage Rita Hayworth kind of like woman. I've always been attracted to like vintage ladies. So I'd definitely like to go back to the 30s or 40s and be in a kitchen dancing around to like that old school radio hits that you hear from like the 1930s and stuff like that. Swinging about. Back to the 90s as well. I grew up in the 90s. I absolutely loved the 90s. That was a great time. So I was born in 1985, so I was 10 in 1995, and it was just amazing. Coming home from school, watching Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, all sorts of other TV shows and stuff like that. Wouldn't say I wouldn't want to go back to any time. I'm really kind of enjoying getting older and living in this time, to be honest. Not exactly right now, but where we are here, yeah, but with all this coronavirus stuff and all what's going on, still not a distraction for me. I feel actually quite happy inside. I'm looking forward to the future, to be honest. Don't want it to go too fast, but I'm enjoying how I'm, I don't know, unbecoming what I was becoming and becoming again what I knew that I was always supposed to kind of be. That's my main thing at the moment.